Here we go. I hope recording started. Peter, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Cuba. I will start with a presentation on PFAS in AFFF. After that, my colleague Serkan will present on inventory hazardous materials.
And as soon as I see that you are sharing your screen, I'll let you know.
Exactly. I'm just choosing the right
Which one
thing
to share.
share.
Yep.
Exactly. There we go. Can you see the screen?
Absolutely coming up.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Great. So this is a short presentation on the regulations concerning PFAS in AFFF. So first, to start with, what are actually all these abbreviations? PFAS, which is relevant to us, is perfluorooctane sulfonic acid. And this is one of a family of substances called PFAS, polyfluorinated alkyl substances. So it's a whole family of substances. They are synthetic, and they are so-called forever chemicals because they only degrade in the environment very slowly. That means even if very small amounts of it are released into the environment, it will build up over time and reach dangerous concentrations. The PFAS group has 10 to 15,000 different compounds in it. What they have in common is the CF bond, so between carbon and fluoride, and it's the strongest bond in organic chemistry. They have surfactant-related properties, so they repel both water and oil and reduce surface tension, which makes them ideal to use in fire extinguishing foams. So there we come to the AFFF, which is the aqueous film-forming foam. So AFFF, bit easier to pronounce. Why is this relevant? Well, PFAS are found basically everywhere. They are being found increasingly everywhere in the environment. In consumer products, in the US, there's even an article about all the brands of beer that PFAS is now found in dangerous concentrations in. And even worse, in human samples. So in human blood, more and more and higher PFAS concentrations are being found. This is why several regulations were made for this. The main one is the Stockholm Convention. Then there's the EU Regulation 2019-1020. And the IMO has also made regulations on this. Mostly relevant for us is, of course, the IMO one, but I will briefly go into the other ones. The Stockholm Convention is for so-called POPs, persistent organic pollutants. Again, a bigger group that the PFAS and PFOS is a part of. And this covers both terrestrial and aquatic, although it does not specifically mention anything on shipping. And when it comes to AFFF, it limits the concentration of PFOA and PFHXS. So again, bigger groups that PFOS falls under. And the Stockholm Convention has been ratified by most countries already. The EU has made its own regulation, basically implementing the Stockholm Convention. And this also includes PFOA and PFHXS, but it does not mention anything on ships. And there's also been no movement from classification societies or administrations to start enforcing these limits to EU flagged ships or ships sailing in the EU. The IMO, however, has banned PFOS in AFFF for the purpose of fighting Class B fires. And this was done in amendments to the SOLAS Convention and amendments to the International Code of Safety for High-Speed Craft. This went into force on the 1st of January, so that is something that is already applies to all ships now. For existing ships, it goes into force on the first annual periodical or renewal survey. And Liberia and Singapore have both issued a notice that they intend to enforce this. So what exactly does a ban mean? It applies to use or storage on board. And the current proposal that was accepted was that the concentration of PFAS in AFFF should be less than 10 milligrams per kilogram. There is no requirement to test the foam for different PFAS constituents on a regular basis, but ships will be required to demonstrate that the PFAS concentration meets the limits, either by providing the foam manufacturer's declaration or by providing testing results. This is still a field which is being developed. You may have noticed that the topic of PFAS comes up in the news on a regular basis. So the IMO is still discussing to include additional parameters for limits in the AFFF. For instance, the PFOA and the PFHXS, which I mentioned being part of the Stockholm Convention and EU regulation on this. More information will be available in March this year, when the 12th meeting of the MSC Ship Systems and Equipment Subcommittee is held and these matters are discussed. So that was the update for PFAS and AFFF. If there are any short questions, we can already address them now. Otherwise, I would suggest that Serkan starts on his inventory hazardous materials presentation.
I will have questions actually, but you are right. Let's see Serkan first, and then I'm getting some questions here as well. But yeah, we will ask them after Serkan. Serkan, are you presenting as well? Are you sharing?
Yes, I will be presenting as well. So let me open the slideshow.
Yeah, we've got you.
You see it? All right, very good. So hello everyone, I'm Serkan, and I'm a specialist for IHM for SGS Search. And today I will talk about brief explanations about IHM, which is called Inventory of Hazardous Materials for the ships. It's a very complex task for the ship owners, but I will try to be explaining to you as easy as I can. So to begin with the IHM regulations, it is first adopted with Hong Kong International Convention on 2009, and it came into force in last year, June 2025, and it is supported by MEPC resolutions, and the latest one is MEPC 405/83. And it's regularly gets updated with the new thresholds of the hazardous substances that we need to report with IHM. And in the meantime, EU adopted IHM measures from Hong Kong International Convention, and they adopted this on 2013, and Europe put this regulation into force on 2018. So for Europe, we already started to record IHM developments for the ships, which is EU flagged or a ship that's visiting EU ports. And also a good point that the IHM only applies for ships above 500 gross tonnage, and it's excluded with military ships. And so why IHM is important from IMO's side? It prevents or minimizes the labor incidents in the demolition yards, prevents pollution and reduces the environmental impact. and it provides safer conditions for the workers in the ship demolition yards. The workers are in risks when they cutting off a ship for recycling. So asbestos can give mesothelioma, which is a rare cancer for respiratory conditions for the workers. Lead may harm people with neurological damage, and PCB can also cause deadly cancers as well. We also, at the end of the life of a ship, we also report flammable electronic components and also gas tanks, which might cause leaks and then explosions or inhalation of bad substances as well. These are some images from demolition yards, the conditions that they work and the environmental impact on our while they work actually. And it is not in a image that we used to see. This is what happens in Bangladesh, for example. So what do we provide for the ship owners to comply with these regulations? We provide initial IHM reports, which is needed and in the beginning of the ship's build. So when the ship is going to start for their operational stage, they need to have a up-to-date IHM Part 1 report, and we're also helping shipyards to obtain this report for starting safely sailing on their sea voyage. In the operational stage, this report needs to be renewed. Not the report, actually, the certificate, but they need to renew the certificate from the reports. So that's what we provide to our clients. So every 5 years, they need to renew the certificate. They can either do it with the proper IHM maintenance, or if the ship owner doesn't have proper IHM maintenance in their ship, then they need to re-inspect the ship with IHM Part 1. Either way, we are helping our clients in a compliant way. And when the ship is near to the recycling stage, and they need to, the ship owners need to provide IHM Part 1, which is already required by in the operational life of the ship. And in addition, they need to provide a Part 2 and Part 3 reports as well. And these other two parts concerns ships' operational waste and ships' stores to be reported to the demolition yard. And as like I said, this is the what reports and the parts of IHM provides for the ship owners and the ships. And the mandatory part is in the operation stage, which is IHM Part 1. But once it goes to the demolition stage, it requires IHM Part 2 and 3 as well. In terms of IHM maintenance, and we already have more than 600 ships under our IHM maintenance, and we provide compliant records and up-to-date IHM maintenance for the ship owners. And to talk about the scheme, we control the purchase history data of every ship. So if one ship is gonna buy goods eventually, and every month, for example, or every week, so, and then they send these, that they make these purchases via headquarters. Headquarters send their PO data history to our side, and then we made necessary checks in order to find potentially table A or table B contained hazardous materials in their PO data history. And by assessing these data, we categorize the ones that are potentially hazardous, and then the ones we sent requests to the suppliers in order to get two specific documents to use our IHM reports, which is called stock and material declaration. Yeah, these are two essential documents to be included in the reports, and we do all the complex job, the background job for our clients. And we need to use IHM portal because, like I said, IHM is a very complex task, and we need to have a tool in order to manage the document requests and document checks, and then to generate IHM Part 1 reports, IHM maintenance reports, Part 2 reports, and Part 3 reports. And all the necessary data is collected in one ship project, which provides us a very compliant procedure for every ship. But I'll not go into this IHM portal because it's too wide to explain. But we have every necessary information for all IHM purposes in one place. As like I said, there are two essential documents for IHM purposes. One is called SDoc, Supplier Declarations of Conformity, which illustrates the acknowledgement of the suppliers that they are familiar with the regulation, and they are providing the latest thresholds for each substances included in IHM frame. This is the scheme and on how we obtain these documents. Here it says shipbuilder because it only shows the initial stage, the building stage of the ship. But in operational stage, a ship owner is also responsible with this scheme. So in order to maintain your IHM Part 1, aka IHM maintenance, we need to follow this procedure. Ship owner or shipbuilder asks the Tier 1 supplier to provide the necessary two essential documents. And if they are not the ones that are manufactured the item, they need to go and contact with the manufacturer themselves. So this is how the document chain occurs. And this is how we collect these documents and how we report them. Yeah, and briefly, that is all about our IHM services. The more in-depth information would be information regarding the hazardous substances. Mostly we're dealing with asbestos, ODSs, also EU regulation requirements, actually. Those are PFOS, as like my colleague said, Peter, is also included in the IHM, and also HBCDD. These are two additional substances required by Europe only. Yes, and Table A, such as asbestos and ODS, are forbidden to contained on ship, but Table B, such as lead, mercury, and cadmium, for example, these are might be present on board, but needs to be reported in your IHM reports. Yes, and that will be all from my side. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I don't know whether I should be scared or very pleased that I have been informed now, because I'm definitely not ignorant anymore on this issue. Could you close your stop sharing at the moment so I can see all hands, if there are any hands up?
Yeah.
So I'll kick in with the questions I've got. So first of all, your experience as you started already, are you seeing a lot of suppliers who are not ready to provide information?
Yes.
Because I bet there must be a big shock for everybody now. Then we are starting to ask for that. And practically, what does it mean to us? Well, you said very clearly, okay, you can refuse to receive. how can we refuse to receive the toilet paper, for example? How are we going to get on with life without it? So where are we theoretically and practically with this kind of regulation and requirements?
So yeah, it's still developing, and it requires a lot of stakeholders to provide 100% compliant IHM. That would be in a dream world, actually, because we are talking about thousands of suppliers here, and some of them are not ship supplier as well. So, but regulation is built in that way that these are not possible. We are just minimizing the risk, actually. We're only cooperating with suppliers. So we also face suppliers that are not cooperating with us. So we are trying our best to invite them to provide the necessary documents, and also asking our clients' help to ask a favor to them in order to provide 100%. But it's never 100%, but close to that, let's say. So it wouldn't be a problem for any ship owner if they have running IHM maintenance program and also up-to-date IHM Part 1 reports during the operational life of the ships.
Okay, very interesting. I would love to hear from our members actually whether they've already started. Is this on the horizon? Are they having a discussions? And obviously, I'll be looking up to our executive committee whether we should involve ourselves with the suppliers and suppliers associations and start working with them, explaining to them that we are now under the scrutiny of this regulation and we need full cooperation. Okay. I had a question for Peter, actually. Peter, do you, as a SGS, see a lot of interest from the ship managers now? Is the queue long for your services?
There's more and more requests on this topic. More and more ship owners are becoming aware that they have to do something with it now. We've already been starting to get increased requests on this last year, and that's only going to pick up this year, we expect. Because if you have something on board before, you were not required to have a certificate. Your manufacturer, as you said, is most likely not yet prepared to issue any certificates to you.
Yeah.
So the best way to do this is to have someone come on board and actually sample and analyze the AFFF that you are using, because it's a very difficult topic also how you can sample this. Because most types of bottles contain forms of PFAS. If you want to write on the bottle what's in it, most markers contain PFAS. If you want to ship it, you also have to be careful how you package it, because a lot of packaging contains PFAS. It's so also for SGS, it's been we've had to look into how we can best do this, because there's a lot of steps you need to take to avoid contaminating these samples. And as I said, the amounts are very, very small that have to be detected. So then it's very important that you make sure that any sample that goes to the lab is not contaminated in any way.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And completely probably out of, but question, is the shipping industry the first one to be targeted, or we are just following the suit of other industries which have already awakened to the problem, and it is now our turn to come into it? So basically,
As usual,
Mhm.
as usual with these things, it was first aimed at industries on land, and is now the scrutiny is being moved to shipping. As I said, the EU regulation already limits various PFAS chemicals in AFFF. It's just new that it is now being applied to ships.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So opening the floor, looking forward to hands among our members. Any questions? Any? No, I think we're all in shock, to be honest. And now thinking, okay, who do we to inform in our organization, who to pass this on to, who will be responsible. But I'll follow up on this one actually. Oh, Mike is here. Mike, go ahead.
Just a very quick question for Peter. Peter, obviously you started to receive inquiries last year because the EU introduced the foam requirements earlier than the IMO requirements came in this year. Is there any difference between the EU requirements and the now enforced IMO requirements?
Yes, as I mentioned, the IMO requirement is only for PFOS, which is one of the chemicals out of the thousands which fall under PFAS. And the EU requirements are more general in the chemicals that are being targeted. And that is also what's under discussion now at IMO, if they should expand their scope for AFFF to match this. And the request starting to come in was, of course, also because the IMO already announced that this would be coming. So some ship owners already started preparing before it was actually required.
So essentially, Peter, if your vessels got any likelihood of trading to any EU port, we have to test and comply with the EU standards and not the basic IMO, correct?
That would probably be wise. Right now, the EU regulations are not specifically targeted yet at ships. It's probably only a matter of time until this actually happens. So yes, I would also say if you're talking to your manufacturers about the type of certificates that you need, then you should probably not only mention PFOS, you should mention the other categories of PFAS chemicals as well, which are covered under the EU standards. I've given my presentation to Cuba. He can share it with anyone who is interested so that you have an overview of which chemicals these are and which regulations.
And Serkan, will you send me your presentation as well? So when I submit everything to our members, there will be 2 presentations plus recording of our discussion now, okay?
Of course, I will provide it to you via Peter.
Very good. Okay, and I will be sending it probably this afternoon as soon as I upload this video, because it takes a few hours to download it. Okay, very good. Any other questions? Any comments? Yes, Ral?
Yeah, just with a lot of this sort of legislation, I think that there's kind of the office responsibilities and what needs to go on there, and then there's things that need to be cascaded down to the seafarer level, which comes with some additional complications, and a lot of that burden can end up with this increasing regulation coming down on the crew. Do you see there being a emerging need for crew on board to understand this, or is this something that can will just more routinely update in existing procedures and existing training?
I can explain in terms of IHM. So we suggest and actually require that the captain or the chief engineer knows about IHM, because at the end it concerns the hazmats with the location and with the hazmat information. So as a captain or chief engineer, they need to be aware of where the substances are used and where they're located in terms of providing safety for their crew as well during the operational life, of course. So yeah, by doing this, actually making courses or drills in the drill, for example, on board of a drill, this IHM can be explained to the crew as well. We're also suggesting that sometimes. It's all about awareness, and it's all about your human health and environmental health. So yes. It's good to know by the crew.
But you see it sitting very much with that sort of existing hazmat space. It's just an additional consideration alongside that, rather than something separate from that.
Separate from what actually?
Existing hazardous materials. This is just an additional topic within that. It sits very neatly in there.
So, for example, asbestos is included in a gasket, and the engine crew are working on it, and they don't know if it contains asbestos. So, our fully approved hazmat experts, just to give an example, goes there, finds a gasket, and takes a sample from it. And for example, that supplier didn't declare that this gasket contains asbestos, and we found out that this contained asbestos during our sampling, and then it creates a danger for the crew on board. Yeah.
Okay, but I think, Ral, great question, obviously. But if you think about it, that seafarers are the very bottom, the last barrier. I think the training really should be for the purchasing officers and further up.
Yep.
Those awareness of those people who are actually creating environment on board. Seafarer knowing it's a bit too late, isn't it? Because then what I'm supposed to do with that then? Not to use it, flag it up into the office and say, guys, sorry, we've got a proverbial on our hands.
Yeah,
it will be difficult. So I believe this is good session, in my opinion, raising awareness at the very top, talking to the MDs and chief executives of the company, and then it has to filter down to the most appropriate person who is responsible for that, awareness-wise. I sense, Peter, then we will be in touch, to be perfectly honest, because I can imagine then we should be doing a bit more with that, and maybe even I don't see Pradip on our call today. Because but Ral, you are here, so we need to start sharing that more and more and make sure that we reach to all our members. So, gentlemen, I'm really impressed. Thank you very much. I didn't expect my ignorance. I didn't expect the weight of the message you are going to pass to us. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, but it's pretty normal, Cuba. So we're always also trying to create this awareness with our clients as well. Yeah, but that's reasonable. Yeah.
You did well. You did well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other business? Is there anything I should be aware? Anything you would like us to do? Any issues you would like to share with other members? No? Okay, then. Thank you very, very... Oh, Ral, okay. Sorry,
just I was waiting to see if anyone else come in. Just a reminder to everybody about these sessions and about what they're there for. They're there for us to do exactly as we've been doing today, sharing where we can put our heads together and kind of share things that we're seeing emerging, things that we need to orientate towards. But there is also, as Kuba has alluded to, there are some of the groups that we're working in. We do have a forum, the ability to join existing forums, to get members of the industry, other associations and stuff together on things, and we can set up our own working groups. And for those of you that haven't heard me talk about this before, I did a sort of a deep dive with associate members fairly recently, was beginning sort of part of last year. But one of the findings that we had there is that associate members are very, very keen to work on problems with the ship management community. So if there are things that you're thinking, it would be great, I'd love to put together a working group. I've got this problem. I would love to bring some other minds into it from other like-minded organizations. We can facilitate that for you. So just keep that in mind as well.
Thank you, Ral. And Sebastian, would you like to have a last word?
No, let me just thank you for the interesting contribution. Looking forward to the next. All the best.
Thank you.
And with that said, I'm stopping recording and waving goodbye to everybody. Thank you very much, everyone. See you.
Welcome. Wish you a great day ahead.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.